Bird's axe. It's even less cool to ask, who is Bird? It's uncool to nod on the street corner waiting for the light to change. And it's uncool to let anybody know your uncle is a registered pharmacist. Uncool for the whole family. It's uncool to buddy with a known thing. It's uncool to ask, where'd you get it? It's disastrously uncool to let friends use your pad as a forwarding address for packages from Mexico. And it's uncool to ask, where'd you get it? And it is uncool to wear shades after sunset, unless you should be wearing shades after sunset. In which case it is uncool to take them off.
Sizzlin 99.9 KSIZ, where the MSP comes alive.
Good evening and welcome back to the CH program. C is for Canis, H is for Hoopus. I'm John Meyer, joined in the studio, as always, by Zachary Bennett. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Timberwolves preseason home opener. We're going to talk about Flip Saunders' management of players thus far in training camp and preseason, as well as his coaching philosophies and whether or not they'll work in today's modern NBA. And to close out the show, we'll chat about a few different league-wide stories, including Kevin Durant, last year's MVP. He had a foot fracture, and he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. So that's the program. To get underway, the Wolves won their preseason home opener last Friday over the Philadelphia 76ers, 116 to 110. One of this offseason's new additions, Maurice, more commonly known as Mo Williams, led the team with 19 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals. I thought he was very good all night. He definitely took advantage of a lot of first and second year Sixers and showed some good things to be excited about. Last year's number 1 overall pick, Anthony Bennett, also finished with 13 points and 8 rebounds. He showed some serious flashes, Zach. He showed some of the skills that the Cleveland Cavaliers obviously saw in him when they chose him number 1 overall last summer. Levine scored 15 on 6 for 11 shooting, including a huge alley-oop slam fed by the aforementioned Mo Williams. And as I wrote about at Canis Hoopus, I thought the bench showed some signs of hope. ZB, what did you see?
Well, they played the Sixers.
They did play the Sixers.
So you gotta see things for what they are here.
Right.
Sixers started Alexei Shved. That's the condition the Sixers are in. I agree. I think Anthony Bennett did some good things. I think everybody did some good things, but I think we're still learning about the team, and Flip is still getting a feel for how to coach these guys, because the first time he did coach them was during the preseason. He didn't coach them in Summer League. He obviously works with them in practice down at Dunks After Dark. He was shaking hands and doing interviews and being the president of B-Ball Ops, doing management things. So, he wears a lot of hats. He's been busy, but it's good to see him actually coaching. I think he's instilled an offense from what we've seen. I did some of my knee-jerk notes, showed the offense that he has run with the sort of, he starts it in the high elbow and has some wings crisscross and cut towards the basket. I think he does a lot of things to set people up to get offensive rebounds and get looks, just to get open looks. I know we'll talk about sort of his lack. The Wolves have sort of lacked a rim attacker. They don't really attack the rim that well. They don't really get to the free throw line very often. But I think overall we saw a lot of good things, particularly defensively. They scurry around. They're long. Ricky Rubio, Corey Brewer, Wiggins. I mean,
yeah,
it looks like on certain possessions they're trying and working so hard to steal the ball. There's a sequence in the second quarter that everybody worked really hard for a couple of possessions, and then they finally got it and got a transition dunk, and Ricky came back and he made eye contact with that. It's like, whew, finally. We chased the ball handler around forever.
Yeah, what'd you think about that Rubio pass to Andrew Wiggins for that alley-oop?
I mean,
that was huge.
We're going to see that a lot.
Wiggins' chin was like an inch above the rim, maybe 2 inches above the rim. And he just made it look so effortlessly.
Well, that's what he does. That's what he does.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, Zach. One of my biggest takeaways from the game is it definitely should be taken with a grain of salt because the Wolves were playing essentially a D-League team. I know that there were points in the game where I was looking at the 76ers roster, and I was looking at the roster sheet, and they had a combined 4 or 5 or 6 years of NBA experience with the 5 guys on the team. So you can't take it for granted. They didn't have Michael Carter-Williams. They didn't have Nerlens Noel. They didn't have Joel Embiid. They didn't have Jason Richardson. They had no guy that they're building their team around, essentially. They had Alexei Shved, Luc Richard, Bam Ute, 2 guys that we got a real good look at last year. We know they're just not very good players. So, we saw good things. We saw things that I think you should be excited about. We saw some things that were not exciting whatsoever. I thought the rim protection was terrible. I thought the Sixers just got into the lane at will. They got a lot of easy layups or buckets within 0 to 3 feet. And I think the Wolves are going to have to clean some of that up. I think a lot, when Kevin Love left, I think a lot of people just wanted to assume that the rim protection would improve, right? Well, Friday night at the Target Center, I actually thought it was worse.
Yeah, and there's still a team. There's a lot of components that are left here from the Adelman era. And so other than Gorgie, we haven't addressed the defense issue. So Adelman's philosophy.
And hopefully Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, Wiggins is more of we like to think of him as a potential shutdown wing player, but not necessarily a rim protector. And then Thad Young he talks about it too. He's an undersized power forward. Sometimes people are able to go over him. Sometimes smaller guys are able to go around him. But I think even Britt Robeson has mentioned there's an issue with rim. There's an issue with rim protection, and a lot of it's some of that's trailing from the era before it, and there hasn't been enough. We didn't address it in the draft. And Gorgie Dieng, he's not there yet.
But for as many people talk about Gorgie Dieng's defense, wasn't so personally. I wasn't so impressed. I know it's just one preseason game, and he did play in the FIBA World Cup, and maybe he's a little tired, but I didn't see the defense that we should expect, or at least I expect out of him.
Yeah, you want him to be a tenacious, shot blocker. You want him to rotate over from the weak side to help.
Right. But also, I want him to shut his own man down too.
Sure, and he's scrawny, and he has a hard time doing that, particularly because of his size. So he's still a developing player. There's a lot of developing players. We don't have a veteran. Turioff is a veteran center, but he's not a rim protector. So he's a rim protector. He's not going to get a lot of run.
That is true. I don't think he plays enough to be like, he's a guy we got to really watch out for, especially with the rise of Gorgie Dieng. Ronny Turiaf's minutes are certainly up in the air, but I think on a per 36 or per 48, he was one of the best shot blockers in the league last year. I know that's not just rim protection, but I think he does a pretty good job at rim protection personally.
I like to think of the rim protector as like an enforcer in hockey. We don't have really a bruiser under the rim.
Is there one player around the league that kind of embodies what you're looking for?
Oh, I got to think of it.
Are you saying when it kind of almost, Andrew Bynum when he's done it a few times where Barea or somebody goes to the basket and he just absolutely levels them and it's really dirty. But
Anthony Davis.
He's he's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, he's going to destroy us all.
Yeah.
He'd be a guy that I would think of that.
Okay.
But you look at Anthony Davis, and he's obviously, for lack of a better term, a freak.
21-year-old.
I wonder what is holding Gorgie from being, what can he work on? Is it rotations? I know he's playing a man. Is he not aware of when to rotate and help protect the rim on the other side of the low block if say Thad's guy is attacking the rim, or we haven't seen a zone yet. I don't think I've seen a zone through the first 2 preseason games. I know we've talked about that. Does a zone benefit the team in the sense that if Gorgie plays under the rim in a zone, is he going to be a better rim protector then? What can we do to make Gorgie a more intimidating force around the rim? Because he's tall enough and lanky enough,
Right.
And he can block shots, and he can do a lot of things, and he's a versatile player, but we just haven't seen it out of him yet. So maybe it's just time.
And that's part of his growth, too. A lot of people forget he hasn't been playing basketball for all that long.
No.
I don't know exactly if he was 17, 18 years old when he first started, but he's still got room for growth. I know he is an older young player, right? He's 24, 25.
Yep.
Going into his second year, but I think just to get back to the preseason game, I know we talked a little bit about Jang there, which is good. I'm a big fan of his. I like what I see there. I did see, like I said before, I saw signs of hope for the bench unit, and Gorgie Jang is certainly a part of that. Last year, Zach, I can't even tell you how many times we sat in the studio with Billy and we talked about how just atrocious the bench was. Just a complete mess. It was a dumpster fire. It was a travesty. And this year, when I was there, I know it's the Sixers. I know it's early October. It's preseason. Rotations are weird. Guys are out of the game. I still saw hope. Mo Williams gives me hope. Anthony Bennett gave me hope.
And Mo Williams should, because when the Blazers brought in Mo Williams last year, 2 years ago, they had the worst bench in the league.
Exactly.
They bring in Mo Williams last year.
And we're not going to say he fixed it, but he had a role.
No, they were still almost the worst bench in the league.
Were they?
Well, we might have been the worst bench in the league, but
Probably.
as far as there was a lot of similarities between the Blazers and the Wolves in the way they ran their starters, how many minutes the starters played, and how abysmal the bench was. I did want to talk to you about Glenn Robinson III and how he didn't play in the second game.
Yeah, that was a guy we didn't see in the preseason game, or the second one. He saw limited minutes in Indiana. I thought he showed some nice things, but he did not play against the Philadelphia 76ers, which you would have liked to see him play because Kevin Martin didn't play, Shabazz Muhammad didn't play, J.J. Barea didn't play. You would have thought that maybe Glenn Robinson, GR3, can get some playing time so we can get more in an evaluation. Have your thoughts changed on is he going to be on this team? I know that you voiced some concern. I think that you said a week two ago it really looked like, yeah, he was going to be on this team.
Yeah, well, I took.
What's changed? Tell me what's changed.
He didn't play. I mean, that's a concern. We have a lot of wing players. The Wolves have a lot of wing players.
Right.
Barea didn't play in the second game. Mo Williams didn't play in the first game. If Glenn Robinson III's a guard, he plays. Kevin Martin's not playing.
Right, and Flip has talked about really getting a good look at the youth. And he's a part of the youth, and we didn't see it.
No. Milt Newton did speak with Jim Peterson and Dave Benz at halftime. And he did say some interesting things. He said, yes, we're going to use the entire time we have allotted to us to make the decision as far as who's the 16th man cut from the roster. But the interesting quote he said was, let's see if I can find it here. I have it pulled up. We have to take a look at each position and look at situations where if one of the starters were to get into foul trouble or get injured, where would it leave us in terms of depth at that position? That position that you sort of have a feeling that he was alluding to was point guard. Rubio has played one full season. Mo Williams, he's a serviceable guard, but can he be a starting point guard on a competitive team?
Right, and he's in his 11th year too, so
he has his flaws.
Well, I mean, who's to say he doesn't break down or?
Sure. Well, yeah,
he's an older player.
All in the same, and it's with Glenn Taylor's reputation of being somewhat stingy.
Right.
Why is he going to buy out Barea for $4 million and then say? It's never good to assume players are going to get injured. You can't just bank on that.
It's going to happen, but, I guess you're right. Now, you shouldn't assume, I guess, really. Assumptions are dangerous in pretty much any area in life, but
you can't say player A is better than player B because player B is more injury prone. It's not something you're allowed to say. So I don't think you can account. If there's a historical injury problem,
right.
Sure, but can you really evaluate players on their injury potential for injury? Who's to say Rubio?
I mean, it goes into it, right? I mean, if a guy's got hurt 4 straight years in a row, then I might look at him differently. If you're the Wolves, I would look at him differently, but
And Rubio has this past of injury.
Well, he had one injury.
What's keeping J.J. Barea, or what's keeping Glenn Robinson III on the roster?
Well, they like him as a young player. They like what he has.
But if he can't contribute anything to the team,
right
now, it's great to think, oh, this player's got upside. He could really be.
Right, but your goal with when you draft players is not to have them on the team for 1 year. Glenn Robinson we want him to have, I would assume, a long, prosperous career with the Timberwolves.
Did you say the same thing about Lorenzo Brown? We drafted him in the second round.
I honestly didn't feel the same way about Lorenzo Brown. I was not that enthused. I didn't think he was that good.
And we didn't keep him.
I'll say this, Zach. In terms of GR3 and Barea, there's a reason that we haven't seen Barea been bought out yet, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Because this has been talked about for weeks now. And J.J. Barea, last time I checked, he's still taking jump shots at the Target Center during practice. He's still with the team.
They could still very well be shopping him, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they are. But it's interesting. I think you and I both want to see GR3. I think a lot of Canis Hoopus, 90%?
Oh, yeah, well over 90%.
Well over 90?
91, 92%.
There you go, Flip. We want GR3. But I agree with you. Does he make sense on the team this year? No, not really. He'd probably have to go to the D-League. But you know what? Contracts, after the year, I think, Chase Buttinger has a player option, which he would probably take.
$10 million, yeah.
It's $5 million.
Oh.
But he would still probably take that, right? Corey Brewer, I think, has another year on his deal, but let's just say 2 years from now, well, the Wolves might really need a wing. So at this point, we might not, but we might need a point guard more.
You wonder if it's
or a power forward, but we don't need a wing right now, but we might really want GR3 in 2 years, right? And that's, to me, how you have to look at your basketball team.
What Oklahoma City did with Josh Houston and how they got him to take a deal in the D-League. I forgot what player on the 76ers is going to Australia. But he's not.
Oh, Jordan McRae.
Yeah, he's not going to take a roster spot.
No.
They have a prearranged.
Yeah. I don't even think he has a cap hold.
No. And it's like
he's basically not on the team, but
it's like a verbal agreement.
Right. There's an asterisk next to his name.
So it's, you wonder if the Wolves could do something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Work out a deal off the book. I think that'd be beneficial for everybody.
You pointed out that Robbie Hummel, we drafted him, and then
he went to Spain.
He fled to Spain, and
that's
probably got better over there.
He probably did. It's, I don't think that was a prearranged situation, but
no.
Robbie Hummel was drafted by the Wolves. He developed a relationship in a short time after being drafted, and then used those connections to make it in the NBA when he came back.
Right.
You hear Flip Saunders talk about Glenn Robinson III and his dad and how they have a relationship, and I know after Robinson III was drafted and they introduced him, Flip said his dad was going to come up for camp and practices and things like that. So there is a strong relationship there, and it would be weird to cut him. But you don't see Robinson III included in any of these Eyes on the Rise promos. You
don't see Ricky Rubio either.
No, Ricky Rubio's an established player with his own things going on.
Well, just my counterpoint.
Yeah, but Ricky Rubio has advertisements and endorsements and other things.
I'd like to see him on the Eyes on the Rise stuff.
You don't need to do any extra marketing for Ricky Rubio. He's the one player on the Wolves everybody knows.
Maybe you're right.
Maybe. Rarely.
Hey, but before we move on, make your last point.
I don't think they're tied to him. I think there's...
No.
In business, there's business ties, but you leave the personal stuff out, and I think everything with Glenn Robinson thus far has been personal ties. They gave him some guaranteed money in the contract, but if they're going to let either him or Barea go, the guaranteed money Glenn Robinson got significantly less than what it would cost to buy out Barea.
Right. Like a fifth, probably.
Yeah, Barea is like $4 million just to say bye.
Yeah, probably be good for the team, though.
You never know. He's one of the best players at camp, is what we keep hearing.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that one, but maybe he is.
What do you want to talk about next?
Before we move on from the preseason, let's just spend a few minutes to talk about our new player, the black goggle-wearing Anthony Bennett. let's just talk about. I like what I saw, Zach. I mean, he had 5 offensive rebounds. He was really attacking the glass. He started off the game, his first couple baskets, or his first basket, I think, was real close to the rim, dunk or some layup. I think maybe the first 2 he did, and then he kind of stretched it out, hit a mid-range J,
and then
then he took the 1 3-pointer, which you were talking about.
Yeah,
he quickly got pulled.
Yeah, and that's something that has made some Timberwolves fans livid.
Yes.
And we'll get into it after the break here
half.
with Flip and his coaching philosophy. But Anthony Bennett makes a mid-range jumper, starts feeling himself from 15, 18 feet,
And he was feeling it.
Yeah,
I was there. He was feeling it.
He did. There was a play where he really rolled nicely in a pick and roll situation with Mo Williams.
That was really nice.
There's a couple other pick and roll situations where he was a little late on the roll. Whether it was by design, I don't know. His focus, similar to Corey Brewer, not to that extent, but he ball watches sometimes. There was that play where Mo Williams had to save it from going out of bounds, and when the ball was going out of bounds, Gorgie and Anthony Bennett are both in the lane, and Gorgie starts running down the floor, and Anthony Bennett's just watching. Mo Williams saves the ball, runs down the floor, and has to wait for Anthony Bennett to come up and run the offense.
There were good things, there were bad things. Overall, though, were you impressed? I thought he showed things that you have to be excited about.
I was at his physical stature.
Yeah,
he was really.
His body looks good.
He looks like he would become a good he could become a good basketball player, and he looks built to be a good basketball player. So I like him. I want he's got my last name. I have to like him.
He was really happy in the post game. He seemed like a guy that just just had some weight lifted off. I know it was just one game, but he just was like, yeah, this is what I can do. This feels good to play. And and he always goes with the same quote over and over. I've heard it numerous times. I just want to get back to my UNLV days. And I think we saw a little bit of that on Friday. Getting back to being a beast, grabbing rebounds, He threw down that monster slam after grabbing that offensive rebound amongst 4 or 5 guys. One dribble slam. That was an explosive play.
Yeah, he looked great.
I'm excited about it.
I'm hesitant to be excited. I think there's
we got to see more.
A lot of Wolves fans hesitant to be excited about anything, just because
that's true.
Just because of the perpetual disappointment.
A week from now, maybe I'll come back and say, "Wow, that was an atrocious 0 for 10
game."
I did
see. Hold on here. I'm dealing with some weird issue with the music that's playing out of order. With Anthony Bennett, somebody brought up something funny in the comment section. There was Cavs fans arguing that Anthony Bennett alone is a good enough centerpiece in a deal that would involve Kevin Love.
Which was kind of a narrative this summer.
Yeah.
A little bit. Before they came to their realization on how good Kevin Love is.
But maybe Anthony Bennett maybe turns out to be really freaking good.
I like what I saw.
Sweet.
I'm excited.
Sweet.
So moving on from that, quick topic number 2, news release today. Shabazz Muhammad, he donated and delivered school supplies to local students in need at Prodeo, I believe that's how you say it, Academy. So for the second year forward, Shabazz Muhammad and the Minnesota Timberwolves Fast Break Foundation, they partnered with the Kids in Need Foundation to donate and deliver 125 backpacks full of school supplies to a local school, as I said, Prodeo Academy. Hope I'm saying that correct. But just wanted to give a quick shout out to Shabazz Muhammad. These guys don't have to do this kind of stuff, and Zach, I appreciate it.
I do too, and it's good to see Wolves in the community because
it is.
As much as some people may badmouth Kevin Love, he did his coat drive, and the coat drive was a big thing in the community.
Very big thing.
And the Wolves, they don't have the greatest reputation around town, and with this whole culture change, it's good to see things like Zach LaVine going out, throwing the first pitch.
Ooh, that's your first one. Strike one.
Standing out. Oh, LaVine.
Strike one, baby.
Yeah, it's good to see.
It is good.
It's good to see NBA players involved in the community. on every level.
Yeah.
Wolves, NBA, could be Laker players. It's good. It's just good to see, the NFL right now has an image problem. The NBA doesn't really have that image problem.
No, they really don't.
And
I mean, well, they've had their cases, with Sterling and then the Hawks whole situation, but it's definitely not on the level of the NFL. But just wanted to quickly mention that Zach and I both thought it was a cool thing to look at.
And you went to the Vikings game on Sunday.
I did go to the Vikings game, and
so did the Timberwolves.
And I saw them there.
Did you?
And
did you approach?
No.
You didn't?
I let those guys enjoy it.
You didn't say woo doo?
No. So the Wolves canceled practice on Sunday, in case you missed it, for those that didn't see, only to attend the Vikings game in a suite instead. The guys showed up at the Target Center, and Flip Saunders came out, and he said, you know what, guys? We're going to the Vikings game. And so that was pretty cool, though Flip did say Zach LaVine was the only disappointed T-Wolves player when practice was canceled. He said he wants to be in the gym 12 hours a day if he can.
Maybe he doesn't like football.
Do you think that was his excuse?
No, I don't think, but maybe.
Well, he's from Seattle, right? Maybe he grew up on the Seahawks.
He was, who would like football then? He was a baseball player too, so you wonder how much time between in the gym and on the field and doing all his things as an athlete.
Yeah.
He likes football. Did you see Shabazz Muhammad's shoes?
I saw an Instagram photo. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, they were dope.
What were they?
They were camo, speckled.
Yeah. I liked them. I remember saying, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty effing dope. You don't.
You're a fan of the camo.
I'm a big fan of camo.
As he's wearing a camo Wolves.
I've got a
hardwood classic.
Few camo hats, but team bonding important. Did we see it with Rick Adelman in his time here? Why or why not?
And we talked a little bit about that before the show. I don't know that we did. I don't remember a lot of instances that I saw last year and the years prior that Rick Adelman was doing a lot of these bonding things. And I know it's kind of goes in with Flip's personality a little bit, but I like it. I think it's cool that he's trying to get these guys on the same page and doing these little extracurricular activities and having them do karaoke in Mankato and having them go to the Vikings game and in a suite and just bonding as a team. I know Thad Young talked about it at practice yesterday, just about how, as somebody asked him if he was if he had been a part of something, a team that had bonded so much off the court and stuff, and he said he had been in Philadelphia there was constantly young guys there and stuff, and so that was a real core focus for them. But I think, like we were talking about, Zach, is we didn't really see that with Rick Adelman, did we?
No, I can't think. You said just now you can't think of many instances where that happened. I can't think of any. Not one.
I really can't.
No.
If someone can, please tweet Zach and I,
or just
so we know,
CH program
at CH program. But that's just something just to keep an eye on. I know Flip is really, trying to get these guys acclimated with each other, and part of that is bonding off the court as well as on the court. But it's a cool thing. It was cool to see them go and support the Vikings, the other team, even though the offensive line couldn't protect Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I'm not a football expert, but that wasn't a very good game when the Vikings had 10 days to prepare for the Detroit Lions.
It was an awful game.
They couldn't score a touchdown.
My dad and I were offended by the offensive line play and the play calling.
Well,
that's my one Vikings opinion.
That's a hot take.
So, Saunders, he's been sitting out a lot of veterans.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
No.
Is it a good thing?
It's preseason.
Are you happy with we're kind of taking a couple steps to really make these guys, just in terms of injury prevention, do you have any thoughts? I know that the Phoenix Suns are constantly talked about as one of the best, top-notch medical staffs in the NBA. And I know I've listened to Phoenix talk about it one time as they talk about being proactive over being reactive. And that's just a philosophy they've adapted to, or they've kind of embraced. And to me, that's kind of what the Wolves are showing. It seems like we're being more proactive, sitting Pekovic out, sitting Martin out. I know Shabazz started out to practice today with tendonitis in his Achilles, but it's really not that serious. But are you excited about just being proactive with some of this stuff, or do you think that it could factor into a slow start?
No, I I think Flip knows his guys. I have to assume Flip knows his guys best. I think with his position now, part owner, president of operations, yada, 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 it's not a position like Rick Adelman, where Rick Adelman's 67 on the tail end of his career. He's probably never going to coach again, and he doesn't care. He wants to win basketball games, and he's going to play Pekovic 10, 11 minutes at a time if he wants. Flip Saunders isn't going to do that. Flip Saunders realizes, hey, I've offered Pekovic and Kevin Martin, who's been sidelined with a groin injury, I have to pay these guys, and they need to be on my team that I'm going to coach for a long time. And I can't have him, getting injured. So I think he knows him best. We got to go to break.
There you go. That's breaking news on the CH program. Flip and Rick Adelman are not like each other. Zach and I are going to take a quick break. Come back for the second half. We're going to explore some different topics. This is the CH program.
Sizzlin 99.9 KSIZ, where the MSP comes alive.
Welcome back to the CH program. Don't forget to stick around later, catch the One Girl, Two Cities program. Laura's in the studio right now. Those of you viewing on the live stream, just watch me horrifically miss my Mountain Dew can in the trash can. Laura got the rebound, put it back in. Props to her. She's going to talk about wine, I think is what she just told us. There's going to be a guest. Cider. Ooh, cider.
Too bad she didn't bring any for us.
Oh,
maybe.
yeah, but, the guest might, not Laura.
Oh, okay.
Laura usually brings me a Mountain Dew, but she did not today. Anyway, Flip Saunders, the coach, he's been. I can always use more Mountain Dew. That can was not big enough. I had 3 before that. Flip Saunders, the coach, he's not a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people expect him to have adapted or totally changed the way his philosophy. His teams are known for taking a lot of mid-range jumpers, not taking a lot of threes. I think what we've discovered so far through the preseason, 2 preseason games, small sample, nothing to really be concerned about, but I'll talk about that in a second here. Flip Saunders is not Byron Scott, and I think there's something to be said there. Byron Scott, head coach of the Lakers, he's quoted in an Eric Pincus article in the Los Angeles Times saying, "I don't want to be coming down, forcing up a bunch of threes. I really want to attack the basket." He's also, he's talked about his team's willingness to foul. He's going to bring back the '90s style of basketball. He's not going to give anything easy. I know they beat the Denver Nuggets by 3 points, 98-95 in the first preseason game, but Denver shot 44 free throws. And that's a lot of free throws. You're not going to win games in the NBA like that. And then in their next game against the Golden State Warriors, through the first 12 minutes, the Golden State Warriors were up 39-13. And if you're a team that doesn't shoot threes, you're not going to slowly chip away at that type of deficit just with 2-pointers. And the Lakers ended up shooting 3 3-pointers against the Warriors.
0 for 3.
Yeah, they didn't make any of them. So they didn't hit any 3-pointers. It's crazy.
That's not enough 3-pointers.
Steph Curry made more 3-pointers in the first minute and 20 seconds of the game than the Lakers attempted throughout the entire game, which is crazy. So through the first 3 preseason games, the Lakers are 5 of 13, and the Wolves took that many threes in their first preseason game. So at least we're not the Lakers. Flip Saunders may not.
I love that silver lining.
At least we're not the Lakers.
We're not the Lakers.
And keep in mind, it is, do need to be objective here. The Lakers don't have any of their floor spacers. I know Steve Nash didn't play. Ryan Kelly didn't play. I don't even know.
Wes Johnson.
Well, he doesn't count. But there are some graphics, and we'll throw it up on the page promo tomorrow. But there were some graphics going around. Ed Cooper, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was tweeting them out, and there's some interesting visualizations about where the Wolves stand compared to the rest of the league as far as where or how many 2-pointers they've attempted through the preseason, how many 3-pointers, and how many free throws. I think the more the Wolves through 2 games, only the Lakers have shot more 2-point attempts. There's 5 teams in the NBA who have played 2 preseason games, and the Wolves have shot more 2-pointers than any of those other teams who have played up to 4 preseason games.
Right.
So,
and it's a real concern after watching the first couple preseason games. To me, it's a real concern.
Is it?
Yes.
Even if they're open looks. What if they're taking 2-pointers more frequently? Like, they run the ball a lot. How they'd like to get in transition. So I didn't look up the possession numbers, how many possessions they have, or points per possession numbers. But maybe they're getting more looks because they have the ball more. They're going to lead the league in steals this year.
I think it's really convenient to say
that was a take.
Yeah, that was a hot take. I think it's convenient to say if it's open, it's an open look. Shoot the ball. Well, in the first game against Indiana, a lot of those open looks that we, quote unquote, open 2-point looks, they were long 2s, and they were contested. I mean, were they amazing? Were they really highly contested? Maybe not, but I don't know. I think it's really convenient just to say open looks. You can't have an offense, I don't think, in a new age NBA centered around this mid-range game or long 2s. I don't care if they're wide open.
Okay, but
I like open shots, yes, but if that's your offense, like we're gonna just only get open long 2s, it's gonna slap him in his face pretty quick, I think.
There's a grander concern, I think. And
what is that?
The grander concern is how often the Wolves aren't getting to the free throw line.
Right, getting to the free throw line.
Through those 5 teams that have played 2 preseason games, including the Wolves. I know the Cavs are playing right now, but entering tonight, the Wolves shot less, have taken less free throws than any other NBA team in the preseason at 45. Entering tonight, the Cavs are playing right now, but they had 47 free throw attempts, and the Hawks had 50, and both of those teams played 2 games.
Right.
So,
and as you said, keep in mind here, this is you. You said keep in mind it's preseason. There's been no Kevin Martin, and Mo Williams has only played 1 game. So that Kevin Martin's going to get to the line for the Wolves. He's
really
the guy that can help us there.
He's really good at that. I think.
And Wiggins is good at it too.
Wiggins is good at it.
That's one of his core strengths.
And I did hear Jim Peterson talking on the broadcast during the Sixers that he believes the Wolves think. No, this was David Aldridge in one of his columns at NBA.com yesterday. David Aldridge thinks the Wolves believe that Wiggins is a better shooter than a lot of people give him credit for. So you think of guys like, we like to measure Andrew Wiggins and how good he could be and his potential because he is the number 1 pick. A lazy comparison, maybe his floor is somebody like Draymond Green, somebody who can defend 1 through 4, but also take threes. If Andrew Wiggins at the very least becomes a Draymond Green-like player, that's a disappointment. But in today's NBA, especially when we have a guy like Flip Saunders running the team, a 3-and-D guy is a very, it's a prominent player to have.
Yeah.
Especially in the league today. So it'll be interesting to see how Wiggins develops his 3-point shot. Mo Williams took 6 threes against Philadelphia and made 3 of them. That's like 1/5 of the Wolves 3-pointers thus far this preseason. So
yeah, he'll be relied upon heavily for threes. Chase Buttinger, who hasn't seen a lot of playing time, and which is kind of a little bit like, it's frustrating to me not seeing him more because I think he's a really good shooter, but and I think he's healthy for the first time in a while. But like you said, it is preseason, so I'm not gonna start to freak out too much about seeing Buttinger not only play 12 minutes a game or so.
And it could be the cautious factor, flip holding guys out in practice.
Right, like we talked about. He is being very proactive and not giving these guys that have had injury concerns, he's not overplaying them. He's not even giving them the opportunity in a lot of cases to even go out there and get work. So it's interesting. We'll have to see how the offense develops. I've seen things that do give me, they are a cause for concern.
Sure. With
the mid-range and not enough three-pointers and not getting to the free throw line enough. But like you said, it's such a small sample size with the preseason. Like after 10 games and we can look back at this, then I think we can start to really say, okay, this is a good thing or this is a really bad thing. But right now, it's a concern. It's a concern because this is what his past has shown. And we're going off a small sample size, and his past is kind of proving it's ringing true right now, right? What people had talked about
through 2 preseason games, yeah.
Right. So we got to see more, but
yeah, going
it's something to look at.
Going over the tape, Flip Saunders is known for a guy who has a big playbook. He's a point guard. And we did see there was a couple sets too, and these are the epitome of attacking the rim, like with the Barea pass or the Buttinger pass to Levine, the alley-oop play. So he's started to instill his playbook, which is known for being he's got a lot of plays. He's a point guard. But you only really saw 1 or 2 sets that they went to consistently, both the bench and the starters. So it's going to take some time.
You know what I liked most about the way they played?
What?
They were pretty killer in the fast break.
Well, yeah.
The leak-out king, Corey Brewer, someone tell me he still can't do his leak-outs without Kevin Love because, obviously they weren't at the Target Center last Friday.
No.
He had a lot of easy dunks in transition. He killed the Sixers. I'm excited to him to go to the bench.
And, yeah, Brewer on the bench is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
I'm going to ride Jim Peterson's coattails.
Okay. Good person to ride the coattails of.
He said, he's not bad at what he does. Specifically, he said Rubio's going to have so many guys that fill the lane, he's not going to know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
Ricky Rubio, if he stays healthy throughout the season, he's going to lead the league in assists.
Is that a guarantee?
I'm going to guarantee it right now. If he stays healthy and he plays 70 games or above, he's going to lead the league in assists. He has so many people to pass it to.
I don't think that's that outrageous.
No,
I think he does.
It's not, but I don't ever make guarantees.
I like it.
You can't even get me to answer a question straight.
No, I like it. He's got competition with, Chris Paul and who else will be up there? Mike Conley.
Maybe Russell Westbrook.
He'll have the ball all game now for the first 6 to 8 weeks, which that's a great way to take us to our NBA topics. So this is an NBA show too, folks. We love the Timberwolves second eye. That's our main squeeze in terms of NBA teams, but we're just NBA fans in general. And we got a quick, couple stories here. If you've been in a cave, Kevin Durant
suffered a Jones fracture.
He's hurt.
Yeah, the Jones fracture is located. You suffer a Jones fracture. It's in the 5th metatarsal of your foot, so your pinky toe, not necessarily your toe, but the bone connecting the toe from the heel. And there's been a number of people who have suffered this injury previously. Some of those guys, Andre Blatch, Pau Gasol. I think the one it's had a big effect on was Brook Lopez, who's missed over 100 games with this injury. And not only just one, it's been multiple. It's been reoccurring. He's had 2 surgeries because of this. So I know we'll link this article from In Street Clothes. It's a blog written by Jeff Stotts, who is a former NBA trainer, but he's a doctor. He knows what he's talking about. In metatarsal fractures, it's all about determining the location of the fracture. Unfortunately, the type of fracture sustained by Durant is one of the most serious metatarsal fractures he could suffer. It's named after orthopedic surgeon Sir Robert Jones. It has a high propensity for delayed union or non-unions. It takes a long time to heal. He can have surgery, and most of these players had surgery. Some of them didn't, and the results differ. Somebody named Dion Glover suffered the same injury, never had a surgery, never had a reoccurring issue, only missed 14 games. But even Martell Webster, he suffered this injury, had a surgery, hasn't had anything happen since, but he's missed 87 games because of the injury.
Yeah, and Brook Lopez. This is the Brook Lopez injury that has really hurt his career thus far. He's done it before, and I believe he's had surgery on it, and he's re-injured it again. So it's interesting. It definitely looks like a more common foot injury, I guess, in terms of the NBA. Like that list you had there, Zach, is pretty extensive. So it's interesting. I think the one takeaway, or what I've been seeing a lot lately, is with the Durant news, it seems like a lot of people are handing the keys to Westbrook and saying, obviously Westbrook's going to take over. Obviously he's going to be the guy that is, trying to dominate games. Now Durant's not going to be around, but Westbrook has done that in the past, and I think a lot of people are talking about him being an MVP now and different stuff like, this is really going to open up his game and stuff like that. I've just heard a lot of different narratives about what's going to happen with Westbrook. Well, that's interesting. A reporter asked Westbrook something to that degree about him taking over, taking more shots, being more of the guy, and Westbrook responds, quote, I have a quote here, "It's not about me. It's about our team. I can't win games by myself. I can't do anything by myself," Westbrook said Monday, which makes him sound like you can't do anything by yourself, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, dude. What are you like, Wiggins? You living with your parents?
Yeah. Like, seriously? You need someone to do everything for you? No, but he went on to say, I kind of want to take the attention off me and put it more on the team. Everybody keeps asking what I'm going to do and how I'm going to change. I think it's more about our team and what we can do. So I think they will have more of a reliance on Westbrook to score. I think they're going to look at guys like Jeremy Lamb. They're going to look at guys like Reggie Jackson to really step up. Steven Adams is going to have to step up. It's going to have to be a team thing for the OKC Thunder. That's nobody replaces Kevin Durant. The guy's the MVP. Durantula, the Slim Reaper. I mean, this guy is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you can't replace him. But like I was telling you, I think it's funny. It's funny how quickly things change and how injuries can just change things so quick. I remember this past Saturday, I was with a bunch of friends and we were looking at Sportsbook. And we were looking at all the NBA bets from this next year, who was favored in each division, who was favored to win the most games, yada, yada, yada. And I came across the Northwest Division. I wanted to look at that. and the Thunder were the overwhelming favorites to win the division. And I think I clicked, like, we weren't going to place any bets. We just wanted to see. So I put like $100 on them, and it said you won $28.50. So I put $1,000, and it said $285. And so I said, guys, we gotta get a bunch of guys together and pool a ton of money together and actually put a bet down, because the Thunder are locked to win the Northwest Division. Now we're sitting here. Are they locked to win the Northwest Division, Zach?
Did they win it last year?
I think so.
I remember Portland getting out to a big start with Durant out. I think they were like 18-3.
The Thunder still won it, I'm pretty sure.
And that's fine. Both teams made the playoffs. The Thunder were the second seed, and they had to play Memphis. And I remember when Memphis clinched the 7th seed, Kevin Young, who covers the Memphis for the SB Nation Grizzlies blog, was getting all excited. Just, not the Spurs! They didn't have to play the Spurs. So the Thunder did win the division last year, but if you remember, Portland got out to an 18-3 start.
Yeah, they were the hottest team out of the gate.
And I don't know if they played Oklahoma City. I don't know how much that matters. They probably played hot, regardless of Durant's injury or not. But Kevin Pelton, as your notes say, of ESPN statistician guy, says Durant's injury will only cost him about 2 to 3 wins.
Which I thought was like, you got to be kidding me, man. I don't care what your shown projection system says. Like, I don't care. 2 to 3 wins is what you're going to lose with Kevin Durant off the court. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
you got to be kidding me.
Kevin Durant's a great player, but like you said, Jeremy Lamb, he's got to step up. I mean, it's his
2 to 3 wins.
They become a different.
I would say like 5 to 10.
Sure, but they're gonna, aside from the fact that Scott Brooks might not be the greatest coach,
yeah,
they're gonna be a new team, and without Durant, they're not gonna play on the court like, oh, we're missing Kevin Durant. They're gonna be a different team, and they're gonna attack things a different way.
It's true. And I should say, Pelton, he points out that if he misses 6 to 8 weeks, that translates to something in the range of 15 to 20 games missing out. So, yeah, I know. If let's say he misses 20 games, what do you think the Thunder's record is?
Oh, I could not even tell you. I think
more closer to 500 though, right?
I still think Portland, if they stay healthy, wins the division if Durant is out that long.
Right.
Just because.
Which is an interesting change, because I just, like I was telling you on Saturday, I just never would have said Portland's going to win the division this year.
But the 6 to 8 weeks isn't certain.
No, because C.J. McCollum last year for the Portland Trailblazers had the same injury. Remember, I had him on my fantasy basketball team, and he ended up missing more than 8 weeks.
I have Jeremy Lamb, so
you got Lamb?
I'm looking for.
Oh, so you're just like,
I'm looking for him to have a big year.
Yeah, but Lamb's my guy.
In Sam Presti, who is the GM of the Thunder, in his statement, he said, until a course of action is determined, we're unable to provide a specific timeline to Kevin's case. And the 6 to 8 weeks. That he pulled that from recent NBA cases that have resulted in a return to play. But Brook Lopez, I can't remember the last time he was on a basketball court.
Right, and every case is different. Yeah. So it's easy to say this is the injury and this is the time frame, but you can't just say he's going to miss 15 to 20 games and they'll lose 2 to 3 games. I just think that's too lazy, that's too easy, and I think that overall that I respect Kevin Pelton and the work he does, but just 2 to 3 wins, sometimes you got to use your brain and just be like, Durant's bigger than that.
And I'm not thinking so much the short term. I'm thinking, Kevin Durant is a superstar. He came in behind LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony. He's the sort of next guy. Injuries aren't good. Curse the injury gods for this injury on Kevin Durant, but I'm less concerned, because I'm not a Thunder fan. I'm less concerned about this season and the short term. I want Kevin Durant to be healthy for a long time. I want him to play basketball for another 15, 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want him to be dominant.
And it kind of sucks at this point, like Paul George this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Durant now.
I think last year was worse with injuries.
Maybe. I mean, this is serious star power. And then Brad Beal, that's the next guy we want to talk about. He has a left wrist fracture. Third-year guard is likely to be sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks like Durant. I think that's just another bright young shooting guard that it's just bad for the NBA. You want to see these guys. It's injuries stink, and you expect them to happen. But when you just keep getting all these stars, it's not good for the league. It's not good for these different teams. It frankly sucks. So. In the situation of Beal being out, just to change topics, it'll be interesting to see, can Otto Porter step up? They lost Trevor Ariza this summer. I know they signed Paul Pierce, who the heck knows how much he's got left in the tank. I know they got Martell Webster. Zach, do you think Otto Porter is in for a rebirth, a revival this year?
I've never seen him play.
I've never seen him play.
So I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
The third pick out of Georgetown, you never seen him play.
Not consistent. No, I don't watch enough of the Eastern Conference.
Well, he didn't really play much last year.
He hasn't really played much as a pro.
No.
I think it's unfortunate, yes, that Beal got hurt, especially because there was a developing rivalry on the internet with the Cavs. They're trying to rehash the Cavs Wizards rivalry.
Oh, okay.
I know.
I didn't know this.
No, during LeBron's early days, there was those Cavs Wizards.
Oh yeah, Arenas.
Yeah, and
Arenas and LeBron really did not like each other.
Now you get LeBron back on the Cavs, and you get an emerging team in the Wizards with their backcourt of John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Oh.
And how well they played last year.
It's too bad.
It's a damn shame.
It stinks for the NBA. But the last story. Let's spitball for 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes left in the show.
We should even go longer, because it looks like Laura's not going to be ready.
Laura gives him the middle finger. Two of them. She's a sweet, sweet gal. The NBA is going to test a 44-minute game during preseason, Zach. On October 19th, the Brooklyn Nets will host the Boston Celtics at the Barclays Center. And the league is utilizing the preseason game to examine the flow of a short game as compared to the standard 48-minute contest.
Is it funny that they do the Nets? That you do it with the Nets? Kevin Garnett, you're old. Why not?
The old Nets.
The old Nets. Granted, they don't have Paul Pierce anymore.
So another change, that there will be a total of 8 timeouts instead of the normal 10, eliminating extra timeouts in the second and fourth quarters. Zach, did you have any thoughts on this? Are you a proponent of a future change to 44 minutes? Do you not like it? Do you like it? I have some thoughts, but I want to hear what you think.
No, there's baseball has the issue with length of time games and fan engagement and being able to capture an audience, and the game's too long. Everybody says with the NBA, I think the stigma is the NBA games really just among if you're a casual fan, NBA games start with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's when they start.
Yeah, that's what my dad and all his friends say. You just turn it on in the last minute.
Yeah, which
pisses me off.
There's a point to that. I think teams clamp up in the fourth quarter, and I think you really get the best of the game. I don't want to see the change. I want them to continue to play this amount of time. I don't like the idea of records in the record book having to be changed. It changes the statistical output of players of years past. You have to compare them, and there's asterisks involved. And I think the game is good the way it is. I think basketball is flourishing around the world. You see that with the popularity with the FIBA World Cup. I don't think it makes the game better if you make it shorter.
Right. That was my first thought.
The World Cup is shorter games.
Yeah.
And you don't notice a difference.
No, but that was my first thought. Do you really want to recontextualize the way we look at all these stats throughout the history of the NBA over 4 minutes that you want to cut out of a game because for what reason exactly? And then you lose those end of bench guys. I don't think it would affect the Stars numbers that much. The Stars are still going to play a bunch of minutes. But those end-of-the-bench guys that only play a couple minutes, where do those guys' jobs go? Those guys, in the Players Association, I would be lobbying against this. So that 11th, 12th guy on the bench, where's he going to play now? Those 4 minutes were pivotal to him. So another thing I just thought was, aside from that, was just I've never had a problem with an NBA game being too long.
If they're going to cut anything
Have you ever had a problem?
No, if they're going to cut anything in the NBA, it should be the season.
It should be the timeouts that each team gets.
That too. But if they're going to cut time, make it less than, cut games out of the schedule.
How about this? When a team calls a 30-second timeout, you actually give them 30 seconds.
Yeah, or speed up free throws. I know the free throw talk has been a thing. Or
maybe you don't replay everything.
Sure.
Over the thing. So it's like, come on, But I mean, we could vent all day about that, and we're running out of time. We're in the last minute. Zach, I think this has been a fun show. We've talked about it a lot. I think we'll get more this Friday. Like, we play the Milwaukee Bucks in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, right?
Yep.
It's going to be a fun game. We're going to see Jabari Parker versus Andrew Wiggins. We'll get back to you with what goes down in that one. This has been the CH program. Thanks for listening again.
Yeah, if we don't get out of here, Laura's going to kill us. So
we're done.
For everybody here at the Sizzlin studio, I'm Zach Bennett. This is John Meyer. Catch us on Twitter at the CH program. Look for this post tomorrow at the Canis Hoopus website. Thank you for all your support and your podcast downloads. We sincerely and thoroughly appreciate them. We'll talk to you next week.